Now,
Well,
what, what would be your top tips for our aspiring entrepreneurs, people who want to be entrepreneurs, maybe are employees right now, may have started a business on the side, but what would be your top 5 tips?
I think my first one is to eliminate the word can't. That's a word that I really don't like. In fact, if you ask friends and family of mine, if you tell me I can't do something, I do it. I'll give you an example. People said I couldn't start a business without a business degree. I did it. People said you can't have the White House as the first client. I did it. You can't pick up and move to Ireland without knowing anybody. I did it. Last year, you can't play collegiate water polo anymore at age 39. Well, I did it. In fact, I started for the team. And next week, I'm going to the British Open, and people are saying, you can't go to the British Open. Well, I'm going to the British Open. Not only am I going, I'm getting paid to go because I'm working for ABC Sports. So, it gets back to that networking. You got to have that network to make it work. I think the second tip I have is you've got to surround yourself with a great team. Long before Tim Ferriss made it popular to have a virtual assistant, I had a virtual assistant, and she literally was my lifeblood. She was my right hand. I know that you're a fan of Michael Gerber's and the E-Myth. I think that's a fantastic book, and one of the things that I remember from his book was you've got to work on your business, not in your business.
Correct.
And that was one of the lessons that I've taken from him, and realized that if I'm not a good web designer, and I could sit there, spend 6 hours doing it, but I'm better off doing other things. So to take those projects and to farm them out and get help. I'm a big fan of Elance. I know you've used it in the past too, but I had. I'll give you an example for my thesis. I'm writing my thesis on social networking and social capital, and I interviewed 10 Irish entrepreneurs, and I had them all on Skype, and I recorded them, and I needed to get it typed up. Now, I could have sat there and I could have typed those up. Would have taken me, 8 hours to do? I found someone on Elance to do it for $50. So, it's a great time saver, and it was money well spent. I think my third tip would be to network. You've got to have a network. And you and I are connected on LinkedIn. Twitter is the rage these days. And, I look back, I've gotten more business off of LinkedIn in the past year than I have doing the marketing efforts that I've done. I've sold more books off of LinkedIn and Twitter than I have on some of the campaigns I've done. So having that network and having people around you, my financial planner, I've known since we swam together when we were 5. My accountant, my lawyer, I've had for 15 years. The best thing I probably did as a starting entrepreneur was I went over and I met my banker, and she's taken care of me for the last 15 years. And it's a great feeling to have your banker's phone number, her personal mobile phone on yours, and you can hit speed dial and get a hold of her. And just knowing those types of people, it's amazing to have.
True.
I think my fourth tip would be to educate yourself, to continue to read. I'm a big fan now of Keith Ferrazzi and Michael Port and Liz Marshall. They've come out with a couple of wonderful books recently. In fact, I used Keith's book as part of my thesis, Never Eat Alone, and how to build a network around you to make it successful. And I know, Devis, you and I were talking about when I'm in Manhattan, we're going to get together and not eat alone and share a lunch or share some dinner. So, having the ability to continually educate yourself. I wake up in the morning, I'm 5 hours ahead of East Coast time. So I get online, I open up my Google, my iGoogle, and I read the Wall Street Journal, I read some of the papers, and I start my day doing that. And I really think that's important when it comes to knowing what's going on in the world. I think my final tip would be that the word no is not a bad word. You've got to be able to start saying no to people. In fact, we came up with a procedure. It was called the bid or no bid scenario, where I think a lot of people think that just getting the business is important, but sometimes you need to say no to some clients. You need to say no and set some boundaries. People are calling you, trying to sell you the next best website or this or that. You need to be able to say no and to stick with it. So I think those are probably the 5 tips that I have for people that if they really want to start a company or be an entrepreneur. Those 5, and also to check out your website because you got a lot of good stuff going on.
Thank you. And these are very practical and very doable tips, I would say. And they're more than tips; they are advices, and which I really appreciate. And I'm very sure my members learned as much as I did. Now, what would be your parting comments, suggestions, anything? Feel free to share.
I think my parting comment would be to enjoy life and to enjoy what you're doing. One of the things that people want to become an entrepreneur, the reason is that they want to have the freedom. And when I started Fitwell, I said, give me a cell phone and my laptop and I can work anywhere in the world. I'm sitting here with my Hawaiian shirt on. That's my trademark. Trying to find something where people know. When I walk around downtown Limerick now, and I have my Hawaiian shirt on. Oh, that's Ted. He's the American entrepreneur. I've got a friend that wears he wears a hat. He wears a French hat, and everyone knows. Oh, that's the guy that wears the hat, and they know who he is. So you got to find something. If it's a Hawaiian shirt, if it's a hat, if it's a goatee, whatever. But find something that makes you stand out from the crowd, and you'll be amazed where it'll take you.
Cool. Thank you. You gotta find your hook, huh? So, with that, ladies and gentlemen, this was Ted Vickey, author of 3 books, serial entrepreneur, a business coach, and a former White House consultant. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. Thanks, Ted.
Top of the morning to you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.